Now, you remember when we reported, if you guys can get me this, we reported that I think it was Tulsi Gabbard sent the edict from FBI agents was to go comb through 24/7. Do you guys remember that? The FBI files to identify, to see if Donald Trump's name was in there. Are you standing by? Breaking news. Here we go. Put it up. FBI, this is according to Bloomberg. The FBI redacted Trump's name in the Epstein files. An FBI Freedom of Information Act team redacted Trump's name and the names of other prominent public figures from the documents. That's according to 3 people familiar with the matter. And Bloomberg is reporting on it. Let's put it up. I want to read from it. And you're seeing this right while I'm seeing it, okay? So hit the thumbs up. Call everybody. Tell them to listen to the Don Lemon Show right now. Tune in because we're going to talk about this. Is the breaking news. Okay, from Bloomberg. FBI redacted Trump's name in the Epstein files. The Bureau's FOIA, or Freedom of Information Act team tasked with conducting a final review of the records blacked out the names before higher-ups said last month that releasing the documents would not be appropriate or warranted. Something is fishy here. What is this administration hiding? What is going on here? Do we have the full thing? I don't know if we have a Bloomberg thing. Can you believe this? Is this the meat of the story that we have? Okay, let's go down. Let's go. Okay. Go back to the beginning, very beginning. Let's read this because this is happening. This is live breaking news right here on the Don Lemon Show. Okay. The transparent administration history, most transparent. Go back. Let's see if there's a little bit more, Andy. Sorry, I should have this up. Let me just click on it. Hang on one second. And let me help myself out here. I'm just going to click on the story that is up here. Is this the story from Bloomberg that's up that you have?
Yes.
Okay. All righty. Okay, this says, welcome back. This is the Freedom of Information files this week. Okay. And it says, I'm delving into the Jeffrey Epstein saga. We know from news reports about that Trump's name was in the Epstein files. But what hasn't been reported is that an FBI FOIA, or Freedom of Information Act team, redacted Trump's name and the names of other prominent public figures from the documents. That's according to 3 people familiar with the matter who were not authorized to speak to the media. Okay. That team, tasked with conducting a final review of the voluminous cache, had applied the redactions before the Department of Justice and the FBI concluded last month that no further disclosure of the files would be appropriate or warranted. Some shit is going on here. From the government's perspective, Trump was a private citizen when the Epstein investigation took place, and therefore is entitled to privacy protections. You guys get the bullshit that's going on? Who is in charge of the government right now? Who's in charge of the Justice Department? From the government's perspective, Trump was a private citizen when the Epstein investigation took place and therefore is entitled to privacy protections. Wow. They're doing everything to save him. You must demand that these files be released. As I have been saying, Epstein, 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 the most transparent administration in history. Soft quote there. Before explaining the government's rationale for blacking out Trump's name, let's recap. Along with aliens and JFK's assassination, conspiracy theories surrounding the life and death of convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein have long consumed MAGA. Epstein avoided federal sex trafficking charges. I know we're probably going to get knocked off of some site because we're reporting the news. In 2008, when he agreed to plead guilty to state charges in Florida for soliciting prostitution. In July of 2019, following an investigation by the Miami Herald that also scrutinized the integrity of the government's probe, Epstein was indicted on federal charges of ST, okay, of minors, trafficking of minors. A month later, he died by unaliving himself in his jail cell, federal law enforcement authorities said while awaiting trial. His death led to a swirl of renewed interest among Trump supporters, okay? We know all of that. Among Trump supporters, which recent months have verged into an obsession. Last year, while still on the campaign trail, Trump vowed to declassify material in the government's possession pertaining to Epstein. Before Pam Bondi was nominated as the Attorney General by Trump, she insisted that the public had the right to know more details about the case. If people in the report are still fighting to keep their names private, she said in Fox News last year, click on that. We may have that sound. You may be able to get the sound from there. They have no legal basis to do so unless they're a child, a victim, or a cooperating defendant. But yet the government's position is that Donald Trump was a private citizen. This is some bullshit. Something is going on. These files, the very thing that you least expect, could be the thing that's your downfall. In January, Kash Patel, the FBI director, told a Senate committee during his confirmation hearing that he would ensure the American public knows the full weight of what happened. Then on February 27th, during a highly publicized event at the White House, Bondi rolled out what the Justice Department referred to as the first phase, the release of the Epstein files. It was attended by the former Pizzagate provocateur, Jack Posobiec, and other far-right influencers. They were given binders labeled the Epstein files, and the most transparent administration in history, that contained about 200 pages of documents that Bondi characterized as declassified. She also suggested that the records would contain previously undisclosed details about Epstein. Instead, Bondi's big Epstein files party was a bust. It turned out the documents she called declassified, which included pages from Epstein's infamous Black Book, had been previously released. Most recently, during the criminal trial, Ghislaine Maxwell, 4 years earlier, had been released already. And then she's going to say, I released the grand jury testimony. A lot of this shit has been talked about. It's all a head fake. The Black Book revealed Trump's name and the names of his wife, Melania, and other family members. There's the Black Book. Wow. Trump's followers were irate. Bondi was angry too. She fired off a letter to the FBI Director Kash Patel demanding to know why the Bureau failed to provide her with the thousands of pages of documents related to the Epstein investigation and indictment she requested. She wanted answers from Patel and accountability. And then here it is. Here's the meat of the story. Are you guys ready for this? I'm going along with you. I'm telling you, there is some shady shit going on, and you must demand the truth and transparency. It's up to you, and it's up to us here in independent media to do it. Because the other folks are just saying, okay, yeah, soft peddling. We're afraid to ask, or we don't want to get fired. We got to get our merger and our acquisition. Our company bosses don't want us to talk about this. Support independent media. Subscribe, subscribe now. Become a member. What happened next kicked off a new phase of Epstein saga. As I reported in March, in the March 28th edition of the FOIA files, Patel directed FBI special agents from the New York and Washington field offices to join the Bureau's FOIA employees at a sprawling central records complex in Winchester, Virginia, and another building a few miles away. They were instructed to search for a review. This is important, okay, guys? Are you listening? They were instructed to search for and review every single Epstein-related document and determine what could be released. That included a mountain of material accumulated by the FBI over nearly 2 decades, including grand jury testimony, prosecutors' case files, as well as tens of thousands of pages of the Bureau's own investigative files on Epstein. It was a Herculean task, or some people say Herculean, I say Herculean, task that involved as many as 1,000 FBI agents and other personnel pulling all-nighters while pouring through more than 100,000 documents, according to a July letter from Senator Dick Durbin to Bondi. The senior officials at the FBI Record Information Dissemination Section, which handles the processing of the FOIA requests, pushed back on the directives. Michael Seidel, the section chief of RIDS, who works, this is the records division, at the FBI for about 14 years, while quite vocal, the 3 people familiar with the matter told me, Patel blamed him for the failure to send all the Epstein files to Bondi. Then a couple of months ago, Seidel was told that he could either retire or be fired. According to the people, he chose the former and quietly left the FBI. The people said the details related to Seidel's exit haven't been previously reported. Are you guys reading between the lines here? Are this report, these FOIA people are saying to the Trump folks and to all of the people out there who are supporting them, the administration, you're not clocking that I'm standing on business, that they are standing on business and you're not clocking. It's not clocking to you that these reporters and the American people are standing on business. And you need to continue to stand on business. The FBI employees review the records using the Freedom of Information Act as the guide was as their guide were for deciding what information should be withheld. That alone isn't uncommon. In the FOIA, Congress established 9 exemptions, blah, 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 blah. We're going all to that. Deliberations, ongoing law enforcement proceedings, whatever. For example, when congressional committees were focused documents, okay, that's all stuff, blah, 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 blah. While reviewing the Epstein files, FBI personnel identified numerous references to Trump in the documents. The people familiar with the matter told me. I will read that again. While reviewing the Epstein files, FBI personnel identified numerous references to Trump in the documents. The people familiar with the matter told me. Dozens of other high-profile public figures also appeared. The people said the appearance of Trump's name or others in Epstein files is not evidence of a crime or even a suggestion of wrongdoing, but it's in there, and we don't know unless they release the files. In preparation for the potential public release, the documents then went to a unit of FOIA officers who applied redactions in accordance with the 9 exemptions. The people familiar with the matter said that Trump's name, along with other high-profile individuals, was blacked out because he was a private citizen when the federal investigation of Epstein was launched in 2006. Y'all. Do you guys understand the bullshittery that is going on here? The cover-uption that is going on here. That's a new one. I'm going to call it a cover-uption. Corruption and cover-up. It's going to be my new contraction, new word. The cover-uption going on here. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. I'm just going through, they're talking about the exemptions and just going through. Okay, so then Andy, go down to the thing, and he talks about all the exemptions as it relates to Khalid Sheikh Mohammed and all that, all about the 9 exemptions. And here's the section called Gaslight. That brings us to today. After the FBI redacted the Epstein files, they were sent to Bondi. Media reports said Bondi briefed Trump at the White House in May and told him he was named in the files. And then on January 8th, the Justice Department, the FBI released an unsigned joint statement, unsigned joint statement that said the FBI collected more than 300 gigabytes of data and physical evidence related to the Epstein investigation. However, the promises of transparency made earlier by Bondi and Patel did not materialize. While we have labored to provide the public with maximum information regarding Epstein, the statement read, it is the determination of the Department of Justice and the Federal Bureau of Investigation that no further disclosure would be appropriate or warranted. The official added that much of the information is subject to court-ordered sealing. The statement ignited a firestorm on social media. Trump's most ardent supporters were furious with Bondi and the president. They said it was a cover-up. The influential podcaster Joe Rogan recently accused the administration of trying to gaslight his supporters over Epstein. Trump, meanwhile, has tried to contain the fallout. He lashed out at his base in a series of posts on his social media platform and blamed Democrats for the fake Epstein scandal. Here's the bottom line. The FBI behind the scenes decision making suggests that the chances of aliens resurrecting JFK are greater than Trump's name ever being unredacted from the Epstein files. Of course, Trump could agree to let the name out or sign a privacy waiver, or when he and everybody else named in the files eventually dies, most of their privacy rights will disappear. At this point, at this rate, we may never know. What do you guys think about that? I haven't read an article that long. This was new breaking. This was happening just as while this program is going on. Oh my gosh, guys. At first, I was like, I don't know. Maybe these people are making too much out of it. I don't think that this is a thing that brings down Donald Trump, that you don't know if there's anything, but it does break the spell, and it has broken the spell with some of his most ardent supporters, and that is all true. But this report, see if there's anything new with this, okay? Guys, if you look for it, is anybody else reporting this? Is anybody else speaking about it?
Stand by, I'll find out.
Okay, this changes the game. Thank you. This changes the game. This changes the game. And this is, look, for the conspiracy theorists who have been pushing this forever, this is not going to satisfy them at all. What this is going to do is inflame and infuriate them even more. They're going to wonder, what is going on? Why is this being covered? What do you mean he was a private citizen? Okay, so now they said that the other figures are in there. They have said that they believe that Bill Clinton was in there, Alan Dershowitz, all of those people. So are they all private citizens, and we will never know, and the victims' families will never know, the victims will never get justice? I am somewhat speechless about this. Someone says, let's have a long live today. Who said that? Let's have a long, oh, that was C. Lawson. What do you mean? A long live? You mean us on? Because I should be off by now. We have been on for not well over an hour. We've been on for just about an hour or so. Is Donald Trump, I mean, we above the law. Look, he is a convicted criminal, but still turned out to be the president of the United States. No accountability. Above the law? Occam's razor. Andy, put up just a definition of Occam's razor, but it is like the most obvious answer is usually the answer, but find me a good definition of Occam's razor, please. Because that's what's happening here. One can only come to the logical conclusion that there is something in these files that Donald Trump and his administration don't want you to see. That's the only logical conclusion. Occam's razor. In philosophy, Occam's razor, also spelled Occam, blah, 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 is the problem-solving principle that recommends searching for explanations constructed with the smallest possible set of elements. It is also known as the principle of parsimony. Parsimony. The law of parsimony, attributed to William Occam, theologian. It's frequently cited in blah, 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 which translates in blah, 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 blah. This is not the simplest thing or whatever. Occam's razor, there it is. As two competing theories, the simpler explanation of an entity is to be preferred. So what is the simplest explanation? Out of all of this, everything that I read you, everything that's going on, all of the, hey, release the Epstein files. I think the commanders should go back to being called I don't even know what the Redskins. Release the Epstein files. I think the baseball team should go back to be calling the Cleveland Indians. Release the Epstein files. Do you know something's wrong with my my ankles and I have a medical condition? Release the Epstein files. Why are they attacking Pam Bondi? You guys need to stand by Pam Bondi. Release the Epstein files. Barack Obama needs to be prosecuted. Release the Epstein files. John Brennan needs to be prosecuted. Release the Epstein files. This was Hillary Clinton. Release the Epstein files. No, it's Joe Biden. They did all of this. Release the Epstein files. This is a Democrat hoax. Release the Epstein files. Why are you guys talking about it? Nobody cares about this guy anymore. Release the Epstein files. I made a trade deal with the EU. That means nothing. Release the Epstein files. No, we need to, I just got the sugar back in Coca-Cola. Put up the breaking news story again at the headline. Release the Epstein files. Look over there. Release the Epstein files. You guys are too obsessed on it. Nobody gives a crap anymore. Look at all the great things we're doing in the best administration possible. That's why when I keep telling you guys, it's Epstein, 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 Epstein. And I know every day I have a meeting and my team is like, well, the Epstein thing, it's the engagement or whatever. And I don't know if there's anything new. We have that sort of thing. That's just a normal editorial meeting. And in the back of my head, I'm going, yeah, there's something weird with these Epstein files. And even if 2 people watch, I'm still going to just report on it. Release the Epstein files. Nobody's talking about our great first lady. I'm just coming up with stuff that he's doing. Release the Epstein files. Oh, we want a ballroom. The White House needs a ballroom, and I want to build it, and I want to spend $200 million doing it. Release the Epstein files. We're going to get rid of the Rose Garden because, parking and... There's some shady shit going on. And you know what? The victims' families have been asking for some answers, and they deserve some answers. Now, I think we have some sound bites. Do we have sound bites that show a mash of different responses from the victims, guys? If we do, please play that one, because these folks want answers for the victims, and even one of them's loved one has died by her own hands. But sadly, that's how things like this can affect you. And then they are playing. This is Virginia Giuffre, 16 years old when she worked at Mar-a-Lago. This is according to the reports. 16 years old when she worked there. Donald Trump asked about her, and he said, asked about Jeffrey Epstein and why they fell out. And he said, well, he was poaching people or taking my girls. And it was asked by the reporter, was one of them Virginia Giuffre? And he said, I believe so. She worked there, blah, blah, blah. Well, according to the report, she was 16 years old. Why was she working there when she was 16 years old? Don't ask me. I don't know. And we would find out if the Epstein files, perhaps we'd find out if they were released. And her family is wanting justice right now. And they feel that they're not getting it. Here it is.
Virginia Giuffre was one of Jeffrey Epstein's most vocal and visible victims.
Jeffrey was a sick pedophile.
Just months after her family says Giuffre died by suicide, they're speaking out after Trump said Epstein stole Giuffre from Mar-a-Lago, where she worked as a teenager.
I think she worked at the spa. I think so. I think that was one of the people. Yeah. He stole her.
We were shocked by it. Especially to use the term stolen. Because she's not an object. She's a person.
The family's also questioning why, 2 years after Giuffre said she was recruited by Epstein's co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell at Mar-a-Lago, Trump told New York Magazine Jeffrey Epstein was a terrific guy. And it is even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side. The president hasn't ruled out a pardon for Maxwell, a possibility Giuffre's family blasted.
The word that comes to mind is it would be an abomination.
On Thursday, the president again faced questions about his claim Epstein stole Giuffre from him.
I said, if he's taking anybody from Mar-a-Lago, he's hiring or whatever he's doing. I didn't like it, and we threw him out.
While Giuffre's family said before she died, Giuffre pushed for all the documents in Epstein's case to be released.
She wanted the world to know what they've done to her and so many other survivors, and she had been fighting that to her very last day.
We reached out to Maxwell's defense attorney to ask if pardon negotiations are underway. The attorney did not respond. Maxwell has 12 years left remaining in her prison term for trafficking girls for sex.
So there we go. That's the story. Now you'll hear more from the family. Here it is.
I think we were shocked by it. Especially to use the term stolen. because she's not an object. She's a person who's recruited at Mar-a-Lago, his property, place where she was looking forward to having fun that summer. And it just kind of makes us wonder, I mean, how much he knew.
That's why this is important. One of the reasons this is important, but it's also important because the American people deserve transparency. Here's a report now. That person was in Bloomberg. This is now the report coming over in Newsweek. And the report coming over in Newsweek is that Donald Trump's name in the Jeffrey Epstein files redacted by the FBI. That report coming after it was reported just weeks ago that the FBI, that Pam Bondi and others, or people, at least reportedly people in the administration, in the Justice Department, had tasked a force of FBI agents to comb through the Epstein files to look for information that may pertain Donald Trump's name in the Epstein files. And now we're getting word that it is redacted. Wow. That's the reporting. Okay, look. What do you think of that? What do you think should happen? The last time do we have another report that you want to play, Andy? Is that the one that we already played?
The one Peter just sent, I have ready.
Oh, I thought that was the one. Okay, let's play it. Here it is.
I distinctly remember him smiling and enjoying the fact that he was doing this. He asked me to take my clothes off. I was trembling. I was so scared. He began to touch me. It quickly turned into an assault.
I was so young. Ghislaine woke me up in the morning and said, "You're going to meet a prince today." And Ghislaine said, "He's coming back to the house, and I want you to do for him what you do for Epstein."
Epstein walked out and said, "Oh, no, no, no. She's not here for you." And he said, "Come with me." And he escorted him into another office. And I was like, who's in there? And when he said, "Oh, I thought she was 16, I thought, is there a 16-year-old in there? There's hundreds of us that were preyed upon.
Jeffrey thought that we were disposable, and he threw us all away. And look who's still standing.
Could you guys just release the damn files already? Could you guys release the damn files already? You know why? Because the reports you think are helpful, you think that it is helpful, that you are withholding this information the same way that you thought it was helpful that you send Congress home early so that they would not have to deal with it. It is not helpful. And so I'm not going to help you out. I'm just saying it's going to be drip, drip, drip. And it was, I was young back then, but Watergate was drip, drip, drip until it wasn't. Now, we were in a different time. The Republicans weren't in a cult back then. But it was drip, drip, drip until it wasn't. And then all of a sudden, I remember watching, I was young, the President of the United States leaving office, voluntarily pushed out, peace sign on Marine One. Helicopter took him away from the White House. And then all of a sudden, Gerald Ford was the president. The vice president became the president. In this instance, if something like this happens, your president would be J.D. Vance. I'm just saying. I'm not saying it's going to, history doesn't rhyme, but it often repeats itself, it says. No, history doesn't repeat itself, but it often rhymes or something. I may have it wrong, but you guys know. Look it up and let me know. You guys know what I'm talking about. And so the biggest thing that they use, a conspiracy theory or scandal that they used, and they thought it was going to be Democrats, as it turns out, it could be them. It could be the person that they have been trying to save and propping up forever. Epstein, Epstein, Epstein. History never repeats itself, but it often rhymes. Thank you, Peter. That's what I meant. Yeah, that's what, like he said. History doesn't repeat itself, but it often rhymes. And I see history right now rapping. And you know, since since the advent of rap and hip hop, like there are some words and phrases that I thought didn't rhyme, but somehow these brothers make them rhyme. Brothers and sisters make them rhyme. And I'm like, well, how did that rhyme? Just all in the way you say it and all in how you do it. And so right now, a hip hop, a hibbity, a hibbity, hip hop, a hop, and you don't stop a rocking. It is rhyming. Thanks everyone for watching. Your support means the world to us. So make sure you hit the like button and you subscribe to our channel to make sure that you never ever miss a video. We're live every day, 10 a.m. Eastern time. We drop even more content at 2 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Eastern. And if you want more Don Lemon Show content, we'd love for you to become a member of the Lemon community, where you will receive access to special community posts. You'll get exclusive content and members-only live shows. So head over to our channel page or click the join button on this video. Again, thank you for watching. We appreciate your love and your support, and we will see you next time.